Hi, this is Rabbi Rami Goldberg, and welcome to Biblical Money, powered by Israel 365. Does God want us to be socialists and live off of handouts? Imagine you lived in a world where you didn't need to work. You won hundreds of millions of dollars in the lottery, and you could sit by the pool and drink tequilas all day. You'd never have to bother lifting a finger to provide any economic productivity. Many of us, including myself, often sit back and think about how lucky is that guy. But let me ask you, how long would it take you to be bored and ultimately take you to lose your mind if you were in that situation? Timothy Wilson, a psychologist from the University of Virginia, studied participants in a room which had nothing other than a simple shock machine which would administer a low-level shock to participants, or they had the opportunity to sit in silence with their thoughts. Do you want to guess how many people chose to shock themselves rather than just be alone with their thoughts? The number was overwhelming. The overwhelming majority of participants chose to shock themselves rather than just be alone with their thoughts. The Garden of Eden is that world of a person who doesn't need to work. Adam didn't need to do a thing for his economic activity. The entire episode of the Garden of Eden shows a world in which man takes from the world without investing, without working God's world, and ultimately leads to a lack of appreciation for the work that goes into creating the world. The result was, ultimately, that Adam blames God for giving him a woman and doesn't appreciate where he is or what he has. He doesn't appreciate what it means to connect with the world and to build up the world. He ultimately fails at that test and is sent out of the garden to ultimately to work the land. This is something that we see much later in the Bible regarding the laws of farming. That most of the gifts of the poor, gifts to the poor, are not handouts. There are three laws in particular that arise in Leviticus. That is the laws of leket, where the grain falls from within the sickle, and if there's a couple of extra grains, you have to leave it there. The shichacha are the forgotten sheaves. After you've gathered the bundles, if you've gathered all of them and there's a bundle still left over, you must leave that bundle for the poor. And then peah, which is leaving the corners of one's field for the poor to come gather. What's interesting about these laws is that it is an obligation to leave them for the poor, but not to distribute it to them. The poor must take the action and actually do work for himself. He must stand up and be productive in God's world. There's a dignity that comes with it. It is through this work that a person comes to appreciate God's world and what went into its creation. We know too many stories of kids who are born with a silver spoon, who become entitled and spoiled. God created the world for us to work and to be productive. The rabbis tell us that a person would rather have 1/10 of his own produce than 10 times that of bread of charity. Adam didn't appreciate all the gifts, and God needed to move Adam out of the garden to appreciate joining God as a creator. Thank you for watching. If you found this interesting and helpful, please consider using God's wealth to help support our mission of spreading biblical teaching and love of God's land around the world. Sign on to Israel365finance.com to help support our work. If you have an entrepreneurial story to tell, please reach out to me at Rami@Israel365.com. Looking forward to hearing from you.